Welcome into another edition of Behind the Catch Fence. I'm your host, as usual, David Hoffman. We are officially at episode 28. We are well on our way to 50. I think that's a really good goal. But before I begin, I'd like to give a quick shout out to No Copyright Music on YouTube. They're the ones creating the music that I'm playing. It's obviously no copyright music, so it's free. I'd like to thank you guys for that. With me being a broke college student, I'm grateful for you guys. Go subscribe to them, no copyright music. I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 28. I'm telling you one thing, the heavy hitters just keep on coming onto the show, and it's just getting me excited every single day. Man, it is such a blessing, I'll tell you that. But before I announce our next guest on the show today, make sure to go check out our previous episodes, which includes 2019 Indianapolis 500 champion Simon Pagenaud, 7-time NASCAR champion Richard Petty, and most recently, up-and-coming Indy Light star Stingray Robb. Today, we have one of the biggest Cinderella stories in NASCAR history. Fresh off his epic Daytona 500 victory, please welcome Front Row Motorsports' Michael McDowell. McDowell has long been a staple in the series, dating back to 2008 where he initially got his start with Michael Waltrip Racing. Through all of the highs and lows of switching teams and clawing to earn his way into the sport, McDowell finds himself in the midst of his best season ever with 3 top 10s and an automatic lock into the playoffs already to start the season. Michael and I discussed the 2021 season ahead, his incredible Daytona 500 victory, and much more. So enough with the chit-chat. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite snack, chocolate-covered pretzels, chips, whatever you like, and enjoy this episode with Michael McDowell. Hey, Michael, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Awesome.
So how are you doing today?
I am doing well. And yourself?
Yeah, pretty good.
Good.
How are you feeling about the Bristol dirt race this weekend? I know that'll be a little bit different.
Yeah, it's going to be different. I don't think anybody really knows what to expect other than to expect the unexpected. But I think I'm excited. I think that it's going to be a cool race, a great opportunity, a good show, something new. I like the new schedule. I like mixing it up and having, different venues and different opportunities. I don't have a ton of dirt experience, so I'm not, I'm not going into it thinking, oh, I got this. But I definitely am prepared as much as I can. I'm ready to go.
It'll be interesting to see this with, having the heat races. That'll be a different experience, I'm sure. But I bet it'll be a great learning experience, and I'm sure you'll only continue to get better as those goes on.
Yeah.
But now, what's a question you're surprised you haven't been asked before?
I don't know. I've been asked a lot of questions the last few weeks, so I don't know anything off the top of my head. But it's I've done more interviews and more Zoom calls than anyone could ever imagine in the last 6 weeks.
I'm sure. You mentioned the Daytona 500. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
But take us through that moment of that final lap, just the craziness of that, and just kind of the realization that, wow, I'm a Daytona 500 champion.
Yeah, it didn't happen right away. Normally the checkered flag drops and you know whether you won or not, and coming out and not knowing where the caution came out and trying to figure out, if I was ahead or if Chase Elliott was ahead. I had a feeling that we were in front of them the whole time, but you just never know. And so, when they finally, came over the radio and, that felt like a long time. I don't know how long exactly it was, but when they came over and said we were a winner, it's just overwhelming. The emotion that you have, and, this race is so big and it means so much. And, for me, it's been, such a tough road and a long road, to finally win a race and have it be the Daytona 500. It was just, a huge moment. And yeah, we've been riding that wave ever since.
You mentioned riding that wave. You started off the season 3 top 10s in a row. You've done very, very well just with Front Row Motorsports. And do you feel the Daytona 500 was a big reason why you've kind of had that surge lately, or just what have you seen around Front Row in general that you've seen significant improvements?
Yeah, no. So there's, 2 parts to that question. The Daytona 500, was great, and it gives you momentum and confidence, but it's not what kickstarted, those top 10s as far as, Homestead and and the Daytona road course, those cars were already built and ready to go, so it's not like all of a sudden things changed. But to answer the question more completely, we've been growing and getting better the last 3 years, and we made a big jump last year. Last year was my best season yet. And then we knew going into the off season, the tail of last year, that we were getting close. We were running 15th, 16th, couple top 10s, but we were in that mix more consistently. So we felt like there was a chance that we could come into this season and be more in the conversation and contenders. And so far we have been, and so that's been a lot of fun. I mean, obviously the Daytona 500 is been the highlight, but to back that up with solid races and to have, like you said, 3 top 10s and 6 races, that's a big accomplishment for us. And now we got to keep that momentum going, and we got to keep that speed in our race cars and try to keep pushing hard.
I've always wondered, just any type of NASCAR athlete, how do you prepare for a season, and just both physically and mentally?
Yeah, mentally, you kind of go through 2 different steps. At the end of the season, when you first get into the off season, you're just kind of trying to unwind and decompress because it's stressful. And, just in general, this, not just the pressure of the sport, but physically and everything else. So you just kind of unwind a little bit and try to rebuild. And if you want to call it that, just kind of rejuvenate. And then as you get, I think into after Christmas, you start really focusing on, just training hard and getting prepared, for the season coming up. And, throughout that off season, you're always still working on, looking through video and data and kind of highlighting a few areas that that you need to work on in the off season, so you have a plan going into it. But the off season for us is pretty low key. I think it's probably different than quote unquote athletes that really have that opportunity to to find gains in speed as their ability as far as their body goes. Where us, it's more of trying to figure out what we need to do better on the track to execute better, and the things that we need to work on, and maybe habits that you have to break, and or new habits that you need to learn.
You've raced for a number of different teams over the past couple of years. Most recently having been with Front Row since 2018. How do you stay motivated and positive during the times of just turmoil and success?
Yeah, the goods and the bads, the highs and the lows, and no matter where you're at in the sport, you're going to have that, and everybody's high and low is different too. You just think about a Kyle Busch who, last year was having a struggle year, and he was still running top 5 and top 10, and so it's all relative, right? But for me, it's always been, my motivation has been to do my job the best of my ability. And the reason it is, I feel like God's allowed me to be here, and to be one of 40 is something that I take seriously. And so making the most of every opportunity I have, even when years ago those weren't great opportunities, just giving it all you have, being prepared, working hard. And so that's the motivator. The motivator is to, just to be a good steward of what you've been given. And then the last few years, it's been very easy to be motivated because we've been making gains. And even though they're not wins, or even top 5s or 10s, we went from 25th to 22nd to 22nd to 18th and 18th to 15th. And those are good steps for us that makes us feel like we're moving in a good direction. And so it's easy to stay motivated when you're making gains.
And you're always very vocal about your faith. Just when you keep that a focal point of your life, how do you stay grounded in that during times, just, of both success and struggles?
Yeah, so I feel like struggles, I think, is pretty easy. When times are hard, it's not that, unreasonable that you're leaning on your faith more, and just looking for God to, clear a path, or, just help you get through a struggle. And then on the highs, just knowing, the highs, I feel like, are probably the most dangerous area, because you can feel like you got it and everything's going good and it's always going to be like this. But we all know that if you're on the mountaintop, you're about to be down in the valley. So you better get ready. And that's life. I mean, that's just how life goes. And so, managing the highs and low, and knowing who God is in the highs and the low, and he doesn't change. And so I try not to change in either, in the lows or the highs as well.
I've always really respected just how you've always been vocal, and it's just great to have, great just stewards like you in the sport. And yeah, it's one of the things I've really just admired about you. But
Thank you.
Where did your love for racing originally begin? Going all the way back.
Yeah, so I've always, I shouldn't say always because you don't know where it starts, but I started racing BMX bikes when I was like 3 or 4 years old. So I've always raced something, and so it's always kind of been in the blood, so to speak. And started racing bikes, and then dirt bikes and quads, and then go karts, and I've always sort of been competitive, no matter what. But I think in go karts, it sort of finally sank in that this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to do for a profession and for a living. And then it became very real. It went from being a fun hobby that we did as a family to preparing, to do this as long as I could.
And going up through your career, I know I saw a lot of fans may not know you ran kart / IndyCar in 2005 for 2 races, best finish of 11th. Was there any aspiration to run open wheel at all, or was NASCAR still the main goal?
So my goal was never to make it to NASCAR. Actually, it was to go open wheel racing, and there just wasn't a lot of opportunity as I was coming up. I'd won the Mazda Road to Indy scholarship, and I won those championships, but there wasn't a lot of opportunity at the time. And so I sort of had to make a decision of what I was going to do and how I was going to do it, and so I switched directions, and I'm so thankful that I did, because it's obviously worked out well, and it's been a great, long career. Where IndyCars, it's hard to make it. You either make it or you don't, and you got a 2-year window. And if you don't make it in those 2 years, you're pretty much done. And so I'm thankful for the process. But it was tough to switch gears, when all I've ever known was open wheel and road course racing.
What's the main difference that you would say between like an open wheel car and a stock car?
I think the main difference is that an open wheel car, you have to push yourself to get to the limit of the vehicle. And in a stock car, you have to be disciplined enough to not push the tire in the car too hard. And so it's a more of a dance of balancing. I think that I would love to talk to, Jimmy, after this year as he's making his transition, because he's doing it the opposite of how I did it. And the level that you have to push yourself in an open wheel car to make speed is tremendous. And the bravery that it takes to do it, because you literally have to take more chances and risk. And a stock car, it's not taking the chances, it's being disciplined and doing this really fine balance and dance with the car, that you're asking enough out of it but not too much. And it's just a different style and feel altogether, and it was hard for me to learn.
And this final question, as you go forward into the season, what would you say is the main goal for Front Row in general, and then for you as well, as you continue to search towards the playoffs?
Yeah, the main goal is to make the playoffs. And I think that everyone says, oh, you win and you're in, but that's not the conversation right now. It's not a win and you're in. I wish they would have never said that for the last 5 years. We won the first race, so we should automatically be in, but it doesn't work like that. I think we're going to be fine, but that's definitely got me nervous, to win the race and to be in, so to speak, and to have something where you're not in, that would be devastating. So that's goal number one. The goal number one is to win another race to make sure that we're really in. But expectation wise is, just to continue to build off this momentum. We are a realistic team. I mean, we are a realistic group. We strive for a lot. But we know that we're not going to run 5th to 10th every week. We know that. We know where we're at. But if we can have 4 or 5 more of those top 10s, and we can get close to that number of, in a season, 8 to 10 top 10s, that would be amazing. And we would be really, feeling like we've accomplished a lot. And then at those races where we know we have a chance of executing and putting ourselves in position, and road courses, and you're not going to win them all, and we all know that. And you take the best road racer probably in the world, AJ Allmendinger, and he's going to win 1 out of 50, right? And so we know how tough it is, but putting ourselves in that position and giving ourselves at least a fighting chance, like we did at Daytona. So we just hope that we can do that over and over again, and then eventually we'll get another one, and that's just how it works. So.
That's all the questions I have. I appreciate all your time,
Thanks.
Michael, and good luck at the Dirt Derby.
derby,
Yeah,
I guess, per se.
I like it. Let's call it the Dirt Derby. That's what it's going to be.
Sounds perfect to me. You have a good day, man.
All right, we'll see you. Thanks.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Behind the Catch Fence with special guest Michael McDowell. It's always humbling talking to guys like Michael who are just so deeply genuine and authentic. McDowell has never given up in his career, and even when the cards were stacked against him, and just look where it's gotten him. He is forever a Daytona 500 champion, and no one can ever take that away. Perseverance is something that anyone can learn from Michael, and I wish him nothing but the best as the season progresses. I'd like to thank Front Row Motorsports' Mac McLeod for making this all possible. I'd also like to thank Michael once again for coming on to the podcast. But we are just about out of time for today's episode. Look out for more interviews and content over the next couple weeks. Before I go, make sure to follow this podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Behind Catch. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you guys later.